All right, today we'll be doing equations with parentheses. Now, first thing we should probably address is what the hell is a parentheses? Well, a parentheses basically means whatever's inside this little area right here, you do first. So say we had 5 plus 6 plus parentheses 7 plus 3. Using PEMDAS, which is parentheses, I spelled that wrong. Apologies. Which means parentheses, exponentials, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. We know that we have to do the parentheses first. So even if we completely disregarded addition and subtraction, like the whole PEMD, we would still have to do the parentheses first in this addition problem because we would be moving left to right normally, but because of the parentheses there, we have to do that first before we can go left to right. So in this case, it would be 10, and we would do that first. So then we would have 5 plus 6 plus 10, and then from there you just do simple math. In the situation of this equation, we have negative 4n minus 8 equals 4 minus 3n plus 2. Now, we have to do PEMDAS first, right? But we can't do it in the way we would normally do it, right? Because we have a variable within the parentheses. We can't add 2 to 3n because the 2 itself doesn't have an n. It's missing an n right here. So this is as simple as we can get what's inside the parentheses. So we can't do anything in it. What we can do, however, is multiply the 4 into this negative 3n and 2. Whenever you have a number and a parentheses right after that, that's basically saying multiply 4 by whatever is in the parentheses. So with that information, we can do some basic multiplication. We can do 4 times negative 3, which is negative 12, and bring down our n. And then we do 4 times 2, which is 8. And then from there, that has now become a simple algebra problem. We now just have to isolate n. We have to isolate n. We would move 8 to the other side. So we have negative 4n equals negative 12n plus 16. We move 12n to the other side by adding 12n. And then we have 8n equals 16. Divide by 8 on both sides to isolate n. And your final answer would be n equals 2. Bada bing, bada boom. We'll do one more equation just so you guys get the hang of it. Oops. Let me do that. Just erase everything real quick. Right, so now we have 2 parentheses 5 minus d equals 2 minus 4d. Looking at the parentheses here, it's already as simple as we can get. We can't take away d from 5 because there's no d variable on the 5. We can do, however, is multiply the 2 into the 5 and the negative d. So we would have 2 times 5, which comes to 10, and we would have 2 times negative d, which would be negative 2. Negative 2d, sorry. Always make sure to keep in mind what thing you're multiplying by, if it's positive or negative. If you don't know when you multiply something, if it will be negative or positive, if both signs are positive, so say you have So you have plus a times, they say you have a times b. Since these are both positive, it will always equal a positive. If you have a negative a times a negative b, they will be negative. And if you have a positive and a negative multiplying together by each other, it will also be negative. This is true for the most part, but if you have one negative here, and say you do negative a times b times negative c, since there's two negatives, it will turn into a positive, since a negative times a negative, we already know is a positive. I think I said that this was a negative. My apologies for saying that this would be a negative. It's a positive. But the way I like to remember it is that if there's an odd number of negative, then the equation will be negative. If there's an even number of negative, the equation will be positive. Just a little side tangent for you to understand how you're multiplying, how to multiply negative numbers, if you didn't already know. But we just take negative 2d, negative 10 minus 2d equals 2 minus 4d. And then again, simple algebra. You move 2 to the other side by adding 2. You would have 10 equals 2 minus 2d. Move the 2 to the other side by subtracting 2. 8 equals negative 2d. Divide by negative 2 to isolate d. And we have d equals negative 4. Because there's only one negative, so it's an odd number of negatives. And if we set d equal to 4, sorry, negative 4, get that right. That is how to do equation with parentheses. Once you understand when you're multiplying out into parentheses, that's all you really need to know, because after that it's all just simple algebra.